Time. It never seems to stop, does it? Speeding past us by the second, the former life becomes more and more distant. But we shan't forget about those who crawled so we could walk, who built the foundations that we reap the benefits of, those who made the game what it is now. Today, we will be talking about two unhinged all-time legends in Dennis Rodman and Draymond Green in the 7th episode of Through the Eras by Dash and Hoop. I've been marinating on this episode for a minute now, ladies and gentlemen, fiending to have any opportunity to talk about these two crazy players for a while now. And with the NBA dog days here, I feel like this would be a great comparison to find out who's a better ball player between the two. Despite what Rodman had said half a decade ago about Draymond,
I got no problem handling that guy, Green guy. And he'll be eating out of my hands.
Draymond Green. Draymond thinks he's the best defender ever.
No, Draymond, keep getting your teeth straight, honey, and listen to your mama.
I think it would actually be a little closer than Draymond submissively eating out of Rodman's hand. So first things first, these two guys have controversy tattooed on their foreheads, and they were better defenders because of it. And I'm not saying their off-court stuff like KOing your teammate in practice, getting arrested 6 times, posting some shit like this, and being homies with that one dude from North Korea is okay. No, and I'm also not talking about all the on-court stuff either. Kicking a man in the groin, elbowing a man in the groin, kicking a man in the groin, headlocking someone, stomping on someone's chest, giving Nurkic a little snack. God damn, Draymond. But Dennis gave Green a run for his money, headbutting a referee. Come on, we've all had those intrusive thoughts, his just one. Stomping on a cameraman's groin, skip practice during the NBA Finals to go see Hulk Hogan wrestle, sitting down in the middle of a game for no particular reason. He was also a menace on the court, like Dre. Or I guess Dre was like Dennis, or same shit. But when these guys could toe the line between being a hooligan and a pest on the court, man oh man, they could chip away at any big star's pride, tricking them into giving up parts of their game because they were so annoyed by the defensive demons' antics. But taking away all the glitz, glamour, and controversy purely based on on-court play and impact, which one of these guys was better? Well, starting off with these guys' bread and butter, defense. They have an argument to being top 10 defenders in NBA history, both having themselves a Defensive Player of the Year award, Rodman winning his back-to-back. Rodman also having 8 all-defensive team selections, 7 of them being first team. Draymond also having 8 all-defensive team selections, with only 4 of them being first team. But he does have a steals title under his belt that Dennis doesn't. But not everything is purely about awards. How big of a defensive impact did these guys play on their squad? Well, we all know that Draymond has been crowned the anchor of that Golden State defense, being one of the best roamers and rim protectors of the 2010s, constantly sliding over for his teammates that got beat off the dribble, getting his hand in passing lanes, making bigs who were 6 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier pay for bringing the ball down low enough for Draymond to swipe at. Played extremely versatile in the pick and roll coverage in an era where high pick and roll started to get spammed by the best players and teams in the league, bumping defenders who thought they had an open cut to the rim, not falling for pump fakes, taking up space when defenders pick up their dribble, and screaming at the top of their lungs like Carmelo going for a rebound
On a little zone that they might need later.
to tell his teammates where exactly they need to be on a defensive possession. Draymond did have a little bit of help on his side though, as he had some help from the point of attack in prime Klay Thompson, and yeah, I know he's only got 1 all-defensive team selection, but anyone who was watching that Warriors team between 2014 and 2019 knew that Klay was a borderline lockdown defender. You also had Andre Iguodala out there to assist on the defensive end of the ball as well, as I know he was a little past his all-defensive team play during the Warriors championship runs, but I mean, this motherfucker won a Finals MVP for slowing down LeBron 5% of his usual powers. But what about Rodman? I mean, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards speaks volumes in itself. But the eye test? Pure hustler. Every loose ball was the worms. The defensive rotations. The relentlessness of the man makes me tired watching this shit. Straight up had the unlimited stamina glitch. And even with the man being a bit undersized for the power forward position, at 6'7", Rodman was able to clamp down any big in the post. And my favorite instance of this was in the 1996 NBA season, where the Bulls were getting dominated by an unstoppable force in Shaquille O'Neal, where he had 23 points in the first half, getting any and everything he wanted right at the rim, as if Bill Weddington was a piece of styrofoam that just happened to be in his way. After Shaq gave 2 more buckets out there with a mean mug on his face, Coach Phil Jackson made the order to go ahead and give Rodman the one-on-one assignment on O'Neal. The rest of the second half, including overtime, resulted in Shaq going 0 for 1 from the field with 0 points to show. To have Rodman as an option to just completely shut down another team's big was huge for the success of the Chicago Bulls' second three-peat. But just like I said for Draymond, and even in a bigger case, Rodman had a ton of help on the defensive end. We're looking at the one guy who sold some sneakers throughout his life, the 9-time All-Defensive Team, 3-time steals leader, and 1988 Defensive Player of the Year. Michael Jordan was out there on the perimeter looking to cause havoc wherever he could. There was also the 1995 steals leader and 10-time All-Defensive Team player Scottie Pippen, who could keep someone in front for a few slides. And do you think I forget about Rodman's playing days in Detroit? He also played alongside 5-time All-Defensive Team player Joe Dumars and 1990 All-Defensive Team selection Rick Mahorn. And some people do call Bill Laimbeer a great defender. Some people call him great at being a piece of shit. So if you want to count him as help with Rodman, be my guest. And while I do want to make sure I acknowledge how much of a fire Rodman lit under his teammates' asses, I do think it's a lot easier to play such good team defense when you have that elite of defensive guards. And to have those same exact guys take off the entire offensive load for you makes it even easier. And for that reason, I'm sorry, old heads, I'm slightly giving the edge to Draymond in terms of defense.
Apparently somebody hasn't heard of defensive rebounding being a part of, oh, let me guess, defense? I mean, it's right there in the name.
Shut your nerd ass up, ruining my goddamn transitions. Let's talk about rebounding. Now, the 6'6" power forward Green was an absolute glass cleaner. No doubt about it, considering his height. With a career average of 7 boards a game at the time of this recording, Dre has made a career finishing defensive possessions and cleaning up the Warriors' misses for easy putback layups. But it would be a damn disservice to even pretend like it was comparable to Dennis the Menace. Winning 7 straight rebounding titles in the 90s should be proof enough that this man was a king of boards. With a career average of over 13 rebounds a game, the stats don't even do it justice with how well this man cleaned the glass, having an actual sixth sense about where and how the ball was going to bounce off the rim. The worm was called the worm because of how slithery the 6'7" power forward was amongst the 7-foot trees in the paint, with his famous move being to out-jump and tip the ball to himself over and over and over until he could get proper positioning to secure the board. And to address why I didn't include rebounding in the defensive category in this video is because the man put belt to ass when it came to offensive rebounds as well. Averaging 4 offensive rebounds a game for his career and getting up to as high as 6.5 in the 91-92 season, Rodman single-handedly changed the whole team's mental approach to a game with his ORs. Think about it, playing hard-nosed defense for a whole 24 seconds just to have it all erased and expected to go hard again for another 24 seconds is demoralizing to a squad. And Rodman did a lot of demoralizing. That same 92 season, Rodman had the 3rd most rebounds in a game post-merger with 34. Holy shit. I mean, this was such an emphasis for Rodman that in 1993, he grabbed 28 rebounds against Charlotte and didn't score a single point. So, breaking news. Rodman wins the rebounding category by a landslide. Lastly, we have the offensive section of this video. Not necessarily the main aspect of these guys' games that anybody looks at. They damn near average the same amount of points with 8.7 and 7.3 respectively. With Rodman, he and his unlimited energy were more so utilized on offense in his Detroit days. Evident when you realize that all of his top 25 scoring games came with the Pistons. With him running the floor hard in transition and getting dimed by Isaiah Thomas, he was springy enough to go ahead and dunk the ball anytime he wanted. I mean, he even pushed the ball a little himself during this time period. But as his career progressed, the less he focused on this side of the court. Because quite frankly, when you have MJ, Pippen, crew coach Steve Kerr, and even Luke Longley, no one is asking you to put the ball in the hoop. On the other hand, Draymond is kind of the main ball handler / initiator for the Warriors offense. Of course, you got the Shaq into full moments with him, some goofs off his own leg, and sometimes his ego getting so far ahead of him that he had to go ahead and ruin a good thing with KD.
We had a good thing, you stupid son of a bitch.
But he is absolutely Steph Curry's favorite person to get the ball from. With the two knowing exactly where the other is going to be every play down the floor, it's damn near poetic to see the two go back and forth to get Curry the best shot possible. I mean, the podcaster averaged up to 8.9 assists in the 2021 season. Say all you want about how dumb some of the actions the man may do on the court, but you can't call the man a dumb basketball player. There was also once upon a time where Green could hit threes, shooting almost 39% from three on over 3 attempts a game in 2016. So I'm sorry, Dennis, but you lose out in this final round. And with the big three categories over and reviewed, I think I'm gonna have to go with Draymond Green being the overall more impactful player. And that's tough to say out loud. These two were my biggest inspirations in my early basketball career, excluding the stomping people on their stuff part. And Rodman is my favorite player of all time. But the stats and eye test show me Draymond is just slightly more impactful. Well, what do you think, Dash and Hoopers? Am I all wrong here in disrespecting the 90s legend? Am I too young to truly appreciate the defensive impact Rodman had in his era? Am I a biased Gen Zer? I want to read your guys' opinions in the comments. Remember to roundhouse kick the like button, assault the subscribe button, but most importantly, y'all have a phenomenal rest of your day.